Hey, what's up everybody? And we are back talking about Dwarf Fortress Adventure Mode. I have continued to keep my Grackle Man alive. His name is Zefon. Let's start calling him Zefon. That's a little easier. But you can see here from the footage, I actually do have a little campsite set up. You know, when I first made this bird, I put a bunch of points into carpentry just because carpentry, when you're setting up a fortress in fortress mode, you need a carpenter to make, chairs and tables and beds, a lot of useful stuff. So I just said, I'll give it some carpentry. And I mentioned in my first video, I was like, maybe that's going to be a waste. But then the very helpful, one of my commenters, who goes by the name Rotten Poet mentioned that carpentry is actually useful in adventure mode. So I was right to trust my instincts on that. And very, very helpful. Thanks again for that comment because they were able to leave me enough instructions that I figured out how to build a little home front. You can see that that's my carpenter workshop there. So I am camping out in this wooded area. I just came down from the mountains, which I'm never going to go back up to the mountains. So it turns out in adventure mode, there's a really, really useful fast travel mechanic that also heals you. And it's one of the main ways to actually heal after combat. But you can't fast travel, or it's called travel mode. Travel mode within adventure mode. But so travel mode does not work in the mountains. So I finally came down from the mountains and I found this nice little riverbed. It does freeze over at night. All the water here freezes over at night, but thaws every morning. And so far that's been good enough for me. I'm not even sure what season I'm in. Leave in the comments if you know of a good way to check what season easily. But I am afraid this is going to freeze solid eventually, and then my camp will be useless for water until, spring or summer. But so far, so good. The only thing that makes this place not perfect is what I just mentioned there. And then also the fact that there's not too many animals around here. I think in this footage, you'll see me hunt down a fox, which is actually a good segue, because I do want to talk to everybody about how stealth works. I've learned a few more things about that as well. But yeah, so I have learned a lot about building. And so how it works is there's only one workshop in the current version 47 point whatever in Dwarf Fortress. There is only one workshop, and that's the Carpenter Workshop. I'm not sure when it comes out on Steam, it might be different, maybe more workshops, but for now there's just the Carpenter Workshop. You get in there with the B menu, and from there, if you're at the Carpenter Workshop or within range of it, and there's enough wood within range of the site that you've created, that's the other thing. So building a workshop sets this as a site officially. And if there's enough lumber from chopped down trees in the site, then you can go into a work mode that will then basically bill you hours. It'll say, okay, this is going to take 8 hours to do this job. And that matters because as you can see, what I'm doing here is I'm building. Every time we cut to that other menu, that's like, it seems to be a time lapse. That is a time lapse. It's me working all night or working all day on some woodworking. And then when we come back to this site screen where we can actually see the world, that thing is built, and I'm appropriately hungry and thirsty and sleepy. You will make sure you have food and water and everything, because you'll be working all day on woodworking, and then you'll realize that you're out in the middle of nowhere, and you don't have the strength to find water or, eat an animal. We should be getting to the part actually right now-ish, where we are hunting the fox and moving into stealth. So one funny thing about this character is that it is a legendary tracker. And I think the reason for that is that I got some advice early on about always aiming for the head or the neck when possible for fatal strikes. And that's true, while maybe some other combatant is also trying to fight you and not running away. But so I was meticulously kind of following that rule. And so animals were constantly getting injured and then running away and leaving blood spatter or trails that I could follow. And so to keep this Birdman, I said we were going to call him by his name. His name is Zefon. To keep Zefon alive, I was having him stalk animals all over creation. So you see here this fox, and it has like colors all around it. That is its visual area, and you'll see as this footage continues to play out, it has a field of vision. And in red, the darker colors are where you're absolutely going to be spotted because you're approaching from the front. And then you'll see the sides are kind of yellow because that's like the fox or the target has an opportunity to see you. And then there's like a thin, narrow, like slice of the pie behind any NPC where you're sneaking up directly behind them and they will not see you. So the stealth actually is really, really good. It makes sense. Another thing that I really like about the stealth in this is that, so like if two dwarves are having a conversation, for example, then their fields of vision will overlap appropriately and you can't sneak up on either one of them because they're watching each other's backs. Things like that. It really works. It really makes sense. So I'm really enjoying the stealth and detection mechanism. Oh, but so just to circle back on that idea about how I'm a legendary tracker because I would always strike the head or the neck and then let the animals run away. Basically, not let them, but that's what would happen. If you see on the screen the little yellow like piles of something, I'm not sure what that's even supposed to indicate, like a little yellow flower, those are animal tracks, at least in my version, in the version I'm using. What I learned, and this makes sense, this is common sense now that I think of it, if you do sneak up on an animal or something that's going to run away, aim for a leg or a wing if it's a wing creature. Aim for what's going to take them quickly away from you, and hopefully with that sneak attack you can just like really destroy it, and then they'll be stuck there, and you can make it a clean death for them instead of chasing them all over creation as I was doing previously. Before we move on from building, I do just want to mention one more thing about that. So it works the same as Fortress mode, and that might be confusing to people who are new to Dwarf Fortress in general. But so it works the same way, where in order to build a bed on the map itself, you have to craft a bed. And so in adventure mode, it took me a little while to figure this out, but so you craft with X, like you usually butcher things, but you can also craft simple things. And so you can craft the bed and then place it as a building, the same as in Fortress mode, basically. Another commenter who I'd really like to give a shout out to alongside Rotten Poet, who helped me with the carpentry in the building, a user who goes by the name Nultan. Nultan gave me some great advice as well. They were watching the earlier videos I'd made, and they were like, hey, are you aware that you're super over encumbered, and that's why your Birdman is constantly like crawling on his hands and knees? And so you'll see in the statuses for your character, there's like hungry, there's thirst, there's drowsy, which means you need to sleep. But I was getting confused because there's also something called tired, and tired goes away anytime that you sit your butt on the ground as a character. And the interesting thing in adventure mode is that you can actually move around. You can scoot on your butt and alleviate tired. You can do that technically while moving across the hill. You can scoot your butt, all the way down a hill. You can also do it while flying. Apparently you can fly in a seated position. I guess imagine like Wonder Woman in her invisible plane. And the only trade-off is that you will relieve yourself of the tired status effect when you need to, if you're, carrying too much, and go much, much, much slower. So if you want to move... Oh, and another thing I think that Nultan brought up is that, so your speed affects your speed for everything. It also affects your speed in combat. So if you're super over encumbered, then a fast enemy could very quickly get like 6 hits in before you get a chance to do 1 hit. So all things to think about: don't travel too heavy, don't get yourself over encumbered. It works in a weird way in Dwarf Fortress where it will still let you move, but your character will constantly sit on his butt and scoot on his butt, or fly in a seated position to go much slower, and that really apparently affects your combat. Although this map has really been good to me. I've been lucky. All the animals that I've confronted have really not been much of a challenge. I've really not fought back. They've all just kind of ran. So the over-encumbered thing hasn't affected me too badly in combat yet. And it should go without saying by now, but this is Dwarf Fortress explained poorly. I am doing my best to relay all the information I have accurately, but this whole adventure mode thing has been such a fun, messy adventure, fun in the Dwarf Fortress sense, that I'm already finding a lot of little things where I didn't say it exactly right. So, I apologize. If anybody left me a great comment and then I went and explained it poorly in this video, that's on me, that's not on them, of course. Oh, I almost forgot. So right to the west of my site that I just set up is another site, and I know that because I tried to rest while I was adventuring out there, and it said, oh, you can't rest here, this is a site. And I couldn't find anything except one prefabricated building that was full of tables and chairs. It looked like a big cafeteria or dining hall, so I'm not sure what the deal is with that, but I am gonna, go check that out. So I'll report back if I find anything weird. I just saw in my notes, Rotten Poet also mentioned cooking meat. I haven't figured out how to do that yet, and I also haven't figured out how useful it is. So I guess that's going to be next. I'm going to try my Raven boy, oh my gosh, I'm already forgetting his name again. My Grackle boy, Zefon, he doesn't mind eating raw meat at all, but it's possible that I've been wasting, maybe I'm getting hungry so often because I'm not cooking it properly. So I'll look into that next. If anything you heard in this video sounds wrong or sounds like a good thing for me to try next, please leave it in the comments. Let me know. We're all going to drive Zefon together. We're all going to figure out his great adventure together. So I really appreciate all the advice. And yeah, just thanks for watching. Feel free to leave a like and subscribe if you're not already. If you made it this far, it really helps the channel. And I will keep everybody posted on the continuing adventures of Zefon the Birdman.